9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, hi, good morning. It's Andy. It's a Wednesday. We're coming to the end of January now. Hope you're doing well. Please like, subscribe, and comment. What's really shocking for me is all this stuff about child trafficking, paedophilia, the vaccines, the government, the police, all corrupt, allegedly. Well, who knows? It's probably really true, eh? Trouble is they're so powerful, and they want to intimidate you. They want to do bad stuff to you just to shut you up. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I've been looking at a video from Alex Belfield. He's just recently done it with a guy that I follow quite a lot. And it's titled "The BBC Hated Me, Witch Hunt Exposed in Bombshell Interview" by Alex Belfield. Now, I've linked the video in the description for you all to have a look at, and hope you will. It describes the reasons he's been silenced, really. He goes through his career, and yeah, it seems like he's a genuine guy that's been targeted, a bit like Katie Hopkins, Lucy Connolly, and Tommy Robinson. It's ridiculous, isn't it, what our country's coming to? And then, of course, I'm doing, I've linked down another video as well. This is shocking as well. The British MP, Andrew Bridgen, on Satanism, child trafficking, corruption and abuse. He's an ex-MP now, but Andrew from Leicestershire, Andrew Bridgen, he reported in a documentary how child trafficking from the Ukraine by their intelligence services to our intelligence services have been going on during the war. Please listen to the next bit of footage. It's about 15 minutes, but it sums all my links up basically into one. And it basically exposes people at the BBC, ITV, the judiciary, the police, the government at top level, the Prime Minister even. It also, on another link, and the royal family's pedo problem, but it all got something all in common, all these stories. It's how the powerful elite are keeping whistleblowers silenced, and we can't do a thing about it. That's scary, that, isn't it? I'm going to play the video now and see what you think. You have a great day. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you can. I'd appreciate that.
No one ever wants to talk about child abuse or child trafficking in the UK Parliament. And obviously now anything that no one wants to talk about is another, a warning signal. We don't even have a crime in the UK of satanic child abuse because it doesn't happen. It's just child abuse. There's no satanic. That can't be talked about.
Kind of the same in the Netherlands. They erased the subject.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of child abuse going on in Leicester, which is the nearest city to where my area is. I was finding out a lot of, and it was linked to politicians, historic and current, and it was linked into the police as well. I mean, I gave evidence against the head of police.
But do you agree with David Icke, who produced this documentary Beneath the Surface, that there is this kind of satanic cult dealing with child abuse
Yes.
for a long time.
Yes. Well, you look at the children that disappear and the reluctance of the state. I mean, we live in a surveillance state. We're all surveilled. But still, these children can just disappear. Well, they only can disappear because the state allows them to disappear. And that's across the whole world. And because I'd spoken out about the post office and the modern slavery in the garment industry and the vaccines, people came to me with information that no other MP would look at.
They trusted you.
They trusted me, and they were desperate. I mean, these were desperate people. They'd been to their own MP and they wouldn't touch it. They came to me, and I looked, and I considered it, and there was evidence there, and I was given evidence that that there was industrial child trafficking.
Industrial.
Yeah. From the Ukraine via Moldova to the UK for sexual abuse and organ harvesting. And as horrible as that is, and it's, you know, there are still people who don't want to hear about the vaccines not being safe and effective. And this is another step on from there to systemic child abuse and trafficking. But I mean, unfortunately, we have to live in the world as it is, not how we'd like it to be. And it's a fact. And I looked at the evidence. I saw what the group had done, and they tried to take it to the police in the UK. They'd taken it to Gloucestershire Police because they've got a specialist unit in child trafficking, and they wouldn't do anything. They'd taken it to MI5. They'd taken it to MI6. They'd taken it to the National Crime Agency, and they've got recordings of all their conversations with these agencies. And nobody was. And I wrote and sent the evidence into the government. I sent it into the leader of the House, and I sent it into the Lord Chancellor, who's in charge of the judiciary. And all I got back was, if you think a crime has been committed, take it to the police. Well, I'd already pointed out that they'd already been to the police, and no one wants to deal with it. And the answer was that the information had come from 2 Ukrainian Secret Service agents who independently, so they didn't know about each other, they'd given the same information, and the information was that the Ukrainian Secret Services were collecting children during the conflict in the Donbass, and they were handing them over to UK Secret Services who were trafficking.
Yeah, and you worked on a documentary about this topic.
Yeah.
Shall we just have a look at the trailer? The trailer is called From War to Exploitation, the Crisis of Child Trafficking in Ukraine.
High-ranking individuals in the Ukraine and the UK, international corporate companies' funds being directed to these individuals, child trafficking from the Ukraine to Moldova to the UK to be used in the sex trade and organ harvesting. Get ready for the expose of the century.
Yeah, very difficult to cope with this information that it really exists, and maybe that's also the reason why people look away. But if
they don't want to believe it exists.
If you have children yourself, it's something that should bother you, should interest you. But I have children myself, and I have to admit, when I dig into these subjects, it kind of makes me feel very, very, very almost sick.
Yeah.
So I intend to look away from it. What is this energy that makes you look away? Because you have children, but you didn't look away.
As an elected member of Parliament, I always thought my job was to protect the interest of the people who voted for me. I mean, whether that's the economic interest and economic growth and well-being, or from exploitation. And looking in the dark corners that no one else wants to look in. I mean, there's some pretty horrendous things in there. And I'd uncovered so much corruption through my 14 years in Parliament. I mean, everything that didn't add up or no one wanted to talk about, it was always corruption.
Yeah, but what did it
Explanation.
what did it expose, this documentary, and did it change anything?
Yes. When I exposed all this, what it happened was that I was actually arrested for and accused of paedophilia.
You were arrested?
Yes, 3 weeks later. And they made ludicrous accusations that I was a member of the Freemasons. And, I mean, the police could have found that out in 5 minutes, that I've never
But you were actually arrested?
I was brought in and questioned under caution, yeah, on the old record, and I had to have a lawyer there. They offered me the government lawyer, obviously, but that wouldn't have been very good, would it? So, and yeah, they had to drop it. They said there were evidential problems. That's because there was no evidence, and that was just a warning. I mean, that's what they do to people.
But it's almost a joke.
It wasn't. Well, it's not a joke when you're in the police station and they're asking you the questions they're asking you. Yeah. I mean, it's appalling. 8 years ago, I gave evidence that the chief constable of Leicestershire was a paedophile.
Yeah.
I didn't investigate him though.
But the result,
I gave that evidence to the police.
the result is that you were investigated. But
Yes,
did
but it was
anybody do anything with your information?
No, they wouldn't do anything with it. Except what we do know now is that the operation, which was running out of the UK, they've moved the administration of it to Belgium since this programme came out. And there was nothing in the mainstream media about anything that's in that programme. And they didn't attack it, they just ignore it. That's what they always do. It just doesn't exist.
How big is this?
There's more money, I think we can accept, there's more money in child trafficking and sex trafficking of children than there is in drugs or weapons.
Because it's also about
Because
organs, eh?
Yep, they trade the children. They only sell the drugs once. They sell the children many, many times. And then when they're finished with them, they organ harvest them. That's why you never find the victims in the end. It's appalling. But that's how much money. There's huge amounts of money in it. And it's state-sponsored. And that's why you will not stop it at the moment, because the state will never investigate the state. But there were people very close. You watch the documentary. There are people in MI6 linked into the companies that were, I believe, laundering the money, which is Economics, and it was funded by USAID, which thankfully Donald Trump shut down some months ago. That Canonics is in 27 countries, and they were taking donations for doing work with children. Fabio, I think they were the payments for the children. Yeah. They were the payments for the children. That's what I suspect. And, yeah, nobody wanted to talk about it. No agency. Well, I'm not surprised. You can't get the state to investigate the state. And it is state-sponsored. And it's worldwide. And that's why so many millions of children go missing every year.
How do you know that it's real, what you're saying? How do we find
real
proof?
Because the two originators of the information, who didn't know each other, were both Ukrainian Secret Service agents who were appalled at what they were being asked to do, which was collect the children up for trafficking. One was killed in a cafe, a bomb was put under his table, and the second one had a bomb put under his car and survived. And he named the names, and it's people very close to Zelensky and his regime that are, I mean, they're making the money. They love a war because it allows children to disappear and no one asks any questions.
So you have Ukrainian whistleblowers.
But one of them was killed, and the other one was injured badly with a bomb. I've got I played the clip where Vasily goes to his car and the car explodes. It was from a car park camera. You can see it. That's what happened. So I mean, that's what happened to the whistleblowers. And the person in the group I'd got who took the information to the National Crime Agency 2-3 days after she'd given this exclusive information, evidence of child trafficking, and naming the companies, someone from the company, Economics, was checking out her social media history and her LinkedIn profile. So clearly the National Crime Agency had leaked the evidence to the company that we'd implicated, and then they were starting to investigate my team.
Did you start to feel unsafe, also about the safety of your own children after this documentary?
Well, we're not safe, are we? But I mean, that if you know, if they want to do something very bad to you, they're going to do it. So there's no point being scared about that. And you know, I stood up and spoke about the vaccines when my government tried to force the experimental COVID vaccines down to babies of 6 months. I did not go into politics to allow children to be murdered or injured if I can do anything about it. But the unfortunate thing was, Fabio, that I spoke to all my colleagues in the House of Commons. Lots of them knew that the vaccines, even in 2022, were very harmful. A lot of them had been harmed themselves, but wouldn't go public, and they were quite happy for the children to be harmed. So, but I did stand up, and with those speeches, I stopped my government from authorising those vaccines for children under 5. And that was the end of my career. You know, so that's the end of your career if you do that. But, you know, it wasn't for nothing, was it? Yeah? You know, I had a chance, and I knew I could do it to protect those children. And what's the difference between that and seeing them trafficked for the sex trade to paedophiles? I mean, I didn't have a happy childhood myself. And one thing that really upsets me is if people are harming children. I don't like it. I really react very badly to it. Because, and is it satanic? I believe it is. And I think the people who are running this and many other things they're perpetrating against the people of the world, I think they're Luciferians. I think it's some sort of child sacrifice cult. I've looked them in the eyes. I mean, they are soulless people. And why do they do it? But you can look. I mean, you see a young child. They're the nearest thing to God we've got on this planet. You know, they're so innocent. They're in God's image. And the younger they are, the more innocent they are. And it's the biggest affront to God that these people can do. And that's why they do it. That's what I honestly believe is the biggest of harming children is the biggest affront to God. And that's why they do it. They're godless people.
Hi there, I'm Del Bigtree. I'm the host of the internet talk show, thehighwire.com. I wanted to let you know that on February 10th, I'm coming to the Netherlands for an exclusive event organized by Lighthouse TV. It's called Battle for Science. It's inspired by my film, An Inconvenient Study, which you can watch right now at aninconvenientstudy.com, exposing what happens when scientific results become inconvenient. When top scientists refuse to publish their findings because it would mean it'd be the end of their career. You see, science is under attack, and that's why I'm joining Battle for Science, where I will discuss this topic with brave scientists like cardiologist Dr. Peter McCullough, WHO whistleblower Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger, Professor Matthias Desmet, and Professor Theo Shedders, and many other scientists. And yes, you'll be able to ask me questions, maybe even meet me in person along with all the other speakers. So if you care about freedom, if you care about truth and scientific integrity, and you want to meet some of my favorite scientists in the world, this is an event you do not want to miss. Join me at the Battle for Science, February 10th in the Netherlands. I'll see you there.
After I spoke out about the vaccines, no one in Parliament would speak to me. I went nearly 2 years where I had to eat all my meals on my own. No one would talk to me. None of the MPs want to talk to me. And in the February of 2023, after I've stopped them jabbing the small children, a guy who used to be, I thought he was my friend, probably the man who got me into politics, he came up to me in the House of Commons and put his arm round me. And I thought, this is quite nice, he's being friendly. And he whispered in my ear and he said, Andrew, you can speak out about the vaccines all you want to, mate. You're vaccinated. He said, that means you'll be dead of cancer soon. And he laughed and walked off. I mean, what sort of person would ever say that to anybody?
Terrifying. There's a lot going on in the UK the last few years. Brexit, Brit ID, we're going to talk about these things later on. But there's also something with the gang rapes. And let's just watch a clip and let's see what you have to say about it. Gang rapes in the UK.
Well, Sir Mark Rowley, who is the beleaguered head of the Metropolitan Police, has been talking to the London Assembly. He has been saying that there's been an initial data identifying around 9,000 historic cases that could be linked to child sexual abuse and rape gangs. Do you have confidence that the Metropolitan Police, which now says it's investigating tens of group-based child sex abuse cases involving rape gangs, or could well be involved rape gangs, the Forces Commissioner has said, do you have confidence that will get to grips with it and take it properly, seriously, finally?
I don't, Peter, because this is the same Commissioner and the same Mayor who looked the public in the eye and insisted that there were absolutely no grooming gangs. I mean, the Mayor almost mocked the question and they pretended not to understand what's being asked. So how on earth can the very people who denied it now be trusted to investigate it? How can the Commissioner review what could potentially be either a failure or a cover-up by his own force? You can't be judge and jury and defendant in your own scandal.
Yeah, gang rapes or grooming gangs. Is this the same phenomenon that we discussed before, or is this just something else?
This is predominantly Pakistani, Bangladeshi men grooming underage working-class white girls across the country in relatively poor areas and gang raping them. What we know is it's been going on for decades. Again, that's been pushed under the carpet. It was predominantly in South Yorkshire, is probably where it started, in those urban areas.
You see a connection with the satanic ritual child abuse, or is there just a coincidence?
I don't think it's a coincidence, and the reluctance to investigate is because they know where it leads to. What we've found now is that some of the victims went to the police, and the police blackmailed them into allowing them to rape them by threatening, if you don't let me exploit you sexually, I'm going to hand you back to the gangs that you've just run away from. And that's coming out, and there's the reluctance then to investigate. The police, South Yorkshire Police, they were doing an internal investigation into what's gone wrong, and they've had to hand it over to another police force because none of the victims will speak to South Yorkshire Police because they know that they were raped by the policeman as well. So you've got a lot
But then the whole system is rotten.
The whole system is rotten.
Doesn't that make you very, very cynical?
Well, I am cynical, and I've come to the conclusion that in the UK and probably across Europe and the Anglosphere, that our institutional barrels, not all the apples in all the barrels are rotten, but all the apples at the top of all the barrels are rotten. And any apple that wishes to rise to the top, you have to be willing to rot.
Yeah, but
if you're not willing to rot, you can't rise. And our organisations have become, our institutions have become corrupt. And if you're the head of any corrupt organisation, one of your major jobs is when you come to retire or move on, you've got to make sure that the person who takes your job is at least as corrupt as you were, otherwise it's going to all unravel. And it's been going on for so long, it's become very, very corrupt. And that, I'm talking about the police, our politics, the judiciary, a justice system, big corporations.
But it seems like there's so many people involved. How is that possible? I can understand that some people in the top are corrupt, but I used to say that I don't trust the system, but I still have a lot of trust in people. But if so many people are not to trust, what's going on?
Well, a lot of intimidation. Well, how we in the UK Health Service we have 1.4 million people in the National Health Service employed. What we know now is that 90% of the nurses and doctors won't take the COVID boosters and won't even take the flu vaccine. But they're quite happy to give it to somebody else, something that they wouldn't take themselves. In 2023, a member of Parliament came to me and said, Andrew, you're right about the vaccines, they're killing people. They said, my sister's taken a Moderna booster and now she's paralysed from the neck down.
What does it tell you?
And I said, well, hang on, I'm really sorry about that, but what's going on? You've got to speak out now. She said, my sister's a nurse and they coerced her into taking the booster and now she's paralysed. She's at the mercy of our health service. And she said, you know what the health service is like in the UK with whistleblowers. She said, I daren't speak out because my sister will be hurt by the health service, and she'll get the blame. And she never did speak out. But she knew that the vaccines were hurting people, and it hurt her own sister. But she never spoke out.